The images that you see all over the screen right now, well, these were generated in n8n in only 8 different nodes. I'm going to be showing you guys how you could utilize Nano Banana Pro through 3 different approaches today. We're going to go and create images just based off of a text prompt, one individual image, and then also multiple images. And see, these can be very powerful, whether you want to build out Facebook ads for your company, or you want to build out some type of UGC generated content for your website, or even if you want to build out memes. And really quick, before we do jump into n8n, I'd love to have you be a part of our free school community. It is full of people that are interested in learning data and AI skills to automate work, whether that is going to automate processes for their business, or learn these skills to land customers on the freelance side, or upskill into a data science or AI engineering role. The link is down below in the description. I'm super active in there, and we have well over 150 members today. All right, let's jump into n8n. All right, so this is what we're going to be building out today. Let me show you essentially how this workflow is started. So someone will submit something into a form. Then what we do is we send a post HTTP request. We wait for this HTTP request to generate the image. Then we grab that image. If that image is not ready yet, which is going to be based off of a status, it goes through this switch, which goes back over here to this wait. It waits again, sees that this image is ready. If so, then it goes over here to switch, and we'll go to the done route. Then what we're doing is we're going to just edit the results from this HTTP request. We're going to download the image directly here in n8n. And then I just have this uploaded into Google Drive. Obviously, you could store this wherever you want, but and you could also even actually build out videos based off of this image. I'm going to show you guys that in another video, but that is our workflow. I have some data pinned just because I don't want to run these images again. And actually, this first image is a great example. But before we jump into any of that, we have to actually set up our API. So what I'm using for our API is Kai AI. So this is a website that allows you to use video, image, and music APIs. So I have this open over here for Nano Banana Pro, but let me just also kind of show you the homepage on the site and why it is being used. So I've set this up once in n8n, but you can see they have AI video APIs, AI image APIs, and there's a lot of these over here. You can go over here to the API market as well, and you can just go over here, look at tasks or providers. You can see there's music generation, image generation, video generation, and I'm going to be using this a lot more in some of these other videos because really haven't explored as much image generation as I should have. Same with video. So feel like you set this up once and you move forward with it. So really quick, if you have this set up, feel free to skip step 0. If not, let me show you how we could build this out. So the first thing that you're going to do is create an API key. So, and this is super easy. Like I logged in with my Google account, and then what you're going to do over here is go to API key. And what you'll see is you have a key specifically over here. You can set up spend limits. So let's say, hey, I don't want to spend a lot of money. I want to limit this to $20 or $50 or whatever the case might be. You can add in IP whitelist, but you'll have your API key over here. You can create multiple keys. So you can also delete a key if it gets leaked, and you see that action over here. But essentially what you're going to want to do is copy this key into n8n. Before that though, you are going to want to add in credits to your account. So if we go over here to billing and add in that additional information, I put $5 into my account. I'm obviously not going to show you my billing settings, but I put $5. I've created some images, I've created some videos, and it has not run through that as of yet. So add in credits and then get your API key to get started. I just really quickly wanted to show you that. And yeah, so next thing what we're going to do is find Nano Banana Pro. So if we go back into this models market, you can see that at the very top, it says Nano Banana Pro, and you can click onto this over here. So let's take a look at some of the information. It says Google DeepMind Nano Banana Pro delivers sharper 2K imagery, intelligent 4K scaling, improved text rendering, and enhanced character consistency, offering a major leap. So you can see pricing 24 credits per image. So it says 12 cents, and it says 20% cheaper than the official price. Note, pricing may change in the future. So We have a playground. We can actually generate images in here if we specifically wanted to. So you have your prompt, and then you have your image input. You can change your aspect ratio as well as your resolution and your output format. I'll be showing you how we can do all this in n8n. What we also have over here is examples. So how I use the examples on here is you can see that it gives you the prompt and also gives you the JSON. So this is kind of how I structured some of our later examples based around. But you can see this one was just a prompt only. The second one, super basic prompt. And our third one over here, we actually uploaded an image. And we'll talk about this here in a second. So I'm actually kind of curious what image they uploaded. So you can see that is what they did. And I think they just translated it. Yeah, so they just translated it. You can see the text over here. And then you can see that's been translated in general. So mentions it right there. Keep illustration identical. But yeah, so we have that. What you guys are going to care a lot about, though, is this API section. Because this is how you set it up. And there's two different API endpoints. First, what we want to do is create an image. So it says create task, and then we want to get our image. So once it's created, we'll want to get that over here. And that's why you see we have two HTTP nodes. So let me show you really fast how we can set up an HTTP request. So how you want to do this is you go over here to this plus icon and then just search HTTP like this. And it says makes an HTTP request and returns the response data. So I have that over here. We're going to click into our HTTP request. And the thing we're going to click over here is import curl. So when we start with our create task, we're going to add in that curl. And by the way, if you're brand new to HTTP requests, don't worry, I'm showing you this in the video, but I have a full hour talking about all the nuances associated with it. I highly recommend you learn how to set this up because there's new things like this, which you're not gonna be able to use unless you know how to use HTTP request. So if you go over here to request example, you'll see it says C URL, which is our curl. And all you wanna do is copy that. You go back into n8n, it says paste curl command here, just paste that in, click import. And then we have all these settings. So it's changed our post. You can see over here, we have headers, we have JSON, and it has an example JSON body, which we're going to change this up also. And then you can also see it says header parameters, authorization, bearer, your API key. So we'll talk about that here in a second. And again, if you want to do this for your other one, so you have the post, which creates the image, and then you have your second one, which is your get, and that grabs the image. So I just want to show you that really fast. Again, just go over here to get. We're going to do the same exact thing. So you can see it says curl, copy that. Let me close out of this. We don't need that image anymore. The same exact thing. So go over here, import in curl, paste it, and then we have our data. Again, I'll show you some nuances because we're going to change a few things over here, but I just really quickly wanted to show you curl on both these in case you're brand new to HTTP requests. So there's those. Okay. So next thing, and you'll see we have this over here. This was just what I put for my notes. So the next thing, what I would recommend is you actually remove your, and sorry, I'm taking a look at this one. You need to remove your header parameters. This is not secured. So if you share your workflow with someone, they're going to steal your API key. So please don't share your workflow if you have your header parameters like this, because this is going to be saved and it is not good. So we need to change that up. And essentially how we change that up, I want to say this is my example. What we need to do is go into our authentication and we need to create something called a generic credential type. So just to show you that. And also the other thing that's a little bit weird. So the authorization, this is bearer, and then you have your API key. So you just paste in your API key right here. So it'll say like bearer, and imagine your API key is like this. So that's how you would want to keep that if you're just going to keep this unsecured. So I messed up my first time. I literally just put my API key like this and it wasn't working. And I was like, why is this not working? It's just a little bit weird. They have bearer, then space, then your API key. So that's why in the documentation, and why you always read your documentation, it says your API key like that. So keep bearer, space, and then just paste in your API key. But let me show you really quick how to secure this. So all you have to do on here is first remove this send headers. So now that is gone, we just have our JSON. You go over here, you say generic credential type. And then what we're going to want to do is add in a header auth. Again, it mentions header. So You can see back over here, we have our header auth. Sorry, we have our header right here. So we need to build that out. So you go over here, generic credential, header auth, and then you're going to create a new one. Now I already have mine for Kai, so I'll just show you that. But to create a new one, you just click create credential. So over here, I just say authorization, and I keep that same value, which is the bearer space and then your API key. And that's it. So now you can remove the send headers from both the post as well as get. So remove both of these and you are secured now. So when you see my workflow, it's literally just going to look like this. We're going to have some other stuff going on down below over here, but this should get you started. And yeah, so make sure you set that up and we're going to be ready to go. I know we're already probably like 10 minutes into this video, but it's super important, especially if you're going to use this over and over again. Set it up once and keep moving forward. Okay, so our first of the 3 examples, what we're going to do is turn text into an image. So we'll jump into that. The first thing what I do is I have a form submission. And why I do a form submission is essentially what I'm trying to do is replicate this playground directly here in n8n. So what I want to have is someone enter in a prompt. Then I want the aspect ratio, resolution, and output format. So what you can see over here is I have a prompt. I call this as a text area. Then what I have is our aspect ratio. What I do is also have this as a text, although I could have this as a dropdown because there's predefined aspect ratios. Next, I set up resolution. I put this as a dropdown because there's only 3 options, 1K, 2K, and 4K. And also, if you're doing this, make sure you do this exactly. My first time building this out, I had K lowercase, and that was an issue because I was getting an error. I'm like, why am I getting an error? And you can take a look at the documentation, and it has a capital K. So make sure you do that. And then output format, PNG or JPEG. And I know it says these are capital over here, but the documentation, where is this at? Was it under README? No, I think it was under API. You can see if you go over here, you can see these are capital available options, and then these are lowercase. So you can see example PNG. So make sure to read the documentation. And you can see these are all the aspect ratios. I was just lazy and didn't want to create all these drop downs for these aspect ratios, but make sure it's one of these for it to work properly. Okay, so essentially we take a look at this form and we enter in something. So my prompt I put over here is saying create a 9-string Les Paul guitar, aspect ratio 1:1, resolution 4K, output format JPEG. And just to show you what this looks like, it's fine. I'll unpin it just to show you. We have our prompt. So that's what I would put in over here. I'd put our aspect ratio, resolution's a drop down, and then output format, what type of file you want. So I'm just going to close that out because I already have everything pinned up over here. I'm going to stop this workflow and we're going to move into our next step. So our next step over here is our initial post HTTP request. So this is going to generate our image. So I go in over here. Again, we put everything in our header auth, so we shouldn't have our information over here. And what we're going to do is update this expression. So all I did, and maybe I should have just actually grabbed this. I'm just going to go over here and run this really fast. All right, I'm going to say create a 9-string Les Paul guitar. I'm going to just say 1 by 1. I'm going to say 4K and we'll like PNG. And I'm just going to pin this again for you guys, just so this is cleaner. Okay, so now we're in our HTTP request. And what I do for our body over here is I set this to an expression. So don't keep it fixed. Set this to an expression because we can pass in our form submission. So in this prompt, you can see over here, we have our model, which is Nano Banana Pro, callback URL, which we are not changing. So these are the same that we've inputted. And then we have our inputs. So again, I just grabbed this directly from the curl. So first I removed our prompt. So in that example above, you can see over here, it has this giant prompt. I just went over here and I deleted it. Same with aspect ratio. I deleted that, resolution, deleted it, and then output format. I just kept the double quotes because we're going to pass in our own data. So what I do is I put this full screen, I grab our prompt like this. I just paste it in. And then we get this JSON. So JSON.prompt. And you can see this is what we put over here. Now, this is a great prompt. This is a pretty terrible prompt, but I'm just doing it for easeability in this video, and actually got a pretty funny hallucination. So we're going to do the same thing with aspect ratio, paste that in, paste in a resolution, and then paste in our output format. So this is sending our data that we entered into this form into our API over here. Pretty straightforward. Next, it takes time to generate an image. So what we want to do is set up a wait node. Now I put 30 seconds. You can put a minute, 2 minutes. You could even put this lower, but I found 30 seconds isn't even the best time. I'd probably recommend that you put this at least to like 45 seconds like this. I just put 30 seconds when I was initially building this out. Then what we want to do is we want to have our second HTTP request. And this time, this is our get. So that was the second one, which you go over here, this. So this gets that specific image. You have the response examples over here. It talks about what's all over here as well. So you have different state values also. So you have all this information over here. And I probably should have expanded out what's going on in the node after, but that's fine. So if it's ready, awesome. It's going to move to the switch and go to edit fields. If not, what I have is a switch, which will go back and over here to wait. So you can see this again hasn't changed. The only thing I did change for the second HTTP request. So by default, we have this task ID, and this task ID, I grabbed that from our first post. So you can see it generates a task ID right here. We need to send that task ID into our get. Otherwise, it doesn't know what image to grab. So all I do is grab our information from the earlier one. So you can see json.data.task ID. So super important that you paste that in again as an expression into our task ID. All I did is grab this over here. So you can see task ID, drag and drop. That's all you have to do. Because by default, you'll see over here, it gives you a task ID. It says task, remove it. That's junk value. You need to have your task ID from this first one over here. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So paste that in. No other changes on here. All right. And then we go into our switch. So I know there's a few other values just based off of the API. So you can see state values, waiting, queuing, generating, success, or fail. And then you have some other data points over here as well. All I did for this one is I looked at data.state. So you can see over here, we have our different state values. And I said, if it's success, we move forward in the workflow. Otherwise, if I said, if it's waiting, which you can see over here, waiting for generation, it's going to go back. Now, I should have actually added out more over here just in case. And I should put I should change this up because it's not technically correct. I need to actually put in queuing as well as generating over here just in case. When I was testing this, I didn't add in all of these, which I should have, and that's probably a fix I could have made. But I just wanted to have that second option to go back over here. And when you have this going on, this is an approach that is called polling. It's very common. In fact, if you go back to some of the earlier Appify videos before Appify had some native nodes in n8n, you had to have a post as well as a get, if I remember correctly, because you had to specifically start an actor and then you had to get the data set for it. So very common approach if you're working with HTTP requests, where you have to start and then grab the data over there. So you would want to do this, or you would want to use an if node. Sometimes one of the benefits of switch is you can have a fallback if there's an error of some sort of capacity. But regardless, not to get super technical in this video, that's why we have this loop. Then what we have over here next is we have this edit fields. So let me just go over here. I'm going to just turn off this wait node so it doesn't run. And I'm just going to run this really quick just to show you what I'm doing next. So what I'm trying to do is grab this result JSON. So it gives us this resulting URL. And I want to actually download that image. So you can actually go to this URL and see what the image looks like. And sure, that works. But in my personal opinion, I'd rather have this in n8n because there's more that you could do with it. So again, this generates the image. This is our JSON to parse out this data. So we say json.data.result. So that's this over here. And then we're just grabbing index of 0. So that way we can get our URL that's based in over here. And you can just see the full JSON if you need it. Like pause the video, grab that. Or if you want to grab this eventually, that's going to be in our school community, grab that over there. A lot of our workflows are in there. So just a little bit of shout out to that group. So now this just has our URL and you're like, okay, well, that's great. How do I actually grab the image from URL? What's really cool is that within an HTTP request, we can actually populate an image directly here in n8n. So all we do is grab that URL. I click execute step and we get this binary option. Now, binary is images or PDFs or any type of file that you have in here in n8n. You can see that this is a PNG and I can actually view this image. And this is what has been generated. So all you do is a get, you paste in the URL. Again, I just drag and drop, super easy. And we build this. Now, at first glance, you're like, okay, this has 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, let's assume it has the 9 strings. That's cool. But it's a hallucination because you can see the headstock over here. There's only 3 tuning pegs, but there's 9 strings. So you can see like this generated 2 strings, that generated 2 strings. That's 1. Like it's off. And that string just disappears in the middle of nowhere. And then what's also kind of interesting is this case. So first off, like there's all this extra room in this case over here to the side, but like, how do you close this case? It's bizarre, but I knew this was going to be a little bit weird. I know it's a little bit more of a technical image. It's cool that the workshop, like this workshop looks amazing. And just like first glance, it looks pretty nice, but definitely the guitar did not work. And I wanted to build out a hallucination in some sort of capacity. And, you know, I was right on my first image. This was my first image I actually generated with n8n Pro. So I do want to really quickly finish this off and just show you, like, we could also upload this somewhere. I know you could technically create a video based off this image if you want to with Veo 3.1. You could start saving these into Drive. I just found, like, let's save this into Drive. So I just connected Google Drive, uploaded our data, and just put this directly in Google Drive like that. I have a video talking about Google Drive if you need to learn to set it up. You don't necessarily need to save this Google Drive. There's other ways that you could save it. You could email it to yourself. Like, there's limitless opportunities. I just want to show you that, hey, we have this image. We should populate it somewhere. So, and there's that. I actually want to really quickly show you something that I generated. I have a real estate client, and I don't do their AI work, but I do their data work. And, you know, they're running ads. So I just want to show you really quick on the Facebook ad side of things, for example, that you can build out something that's pretty useful. So they're targeting home buyers and different things like that. And just to show you what this looks like, I think this was a pretty cool image. Okay, that's off over here. This is a little bit more of a practical one rather than a meme. So, for example, you know, sell your Orlando house today. So I looked at it, and I'm not going to share the full prompt, but I wanted to get localized images for real estate markets. So just based off of what's going on in the city. And you can see we have a house right over here with the for sale sign. We have the banner here in the front. We have a welcome to Orlando. So I really like this is attention grabbing. If you have an ad on Facebook and you see this, you have the Disney castle, and then you also have the spaceship rocket going off here in the backdrop. Like, this is a attention grabber, and this will actually probably be in the thumbnail or intro of the video. I don't even know yet. I need to plan this out, but just something that captures the eyes. You're like, wow, there's a lot that is going on in this. It kind of looks like those clickbait YouTube thumbnails. But regardless, this could be put within a Facebook ad. You could have specific copy associated with it. So more of a practical example of how you could use image generation, kind of a little bit of meme as well, and get some sales from it. So that's why I put that over here. Again, same exact workflow. I just changed up the prompt, but I want to show you guys 2 other examples that I find really powerful with this model. The first is turning an image into another image. So based off of their examples, what I wanted to do is have a translation one. So you can see on this one, they translated the image from English into, I'm going to assume that this is German. If it's not, I apologize. Maybe it's Dutch. Again, don't roast me, because I'm from the States. I don't know all the languages, which sounds bad for me to say. But regardless, we're going to do this example. And we're going to use an example of a baseball card. So baseball cards, they're produced all over the world. This is an example that was produced in Venezuela. So it has Sandy Koufax, a baseball player for the Dodgers, but everything else over here is in Spanish. So I actually want to rebuild this card and pretend like everything is English on here. So what we're going to do is just translate it. So essentially all I'm doing on this, I'm changing the form submission a little bit. So we still have our prompt, which is our text area. And then the only thing I'm going to include this time is our image link. Now you could add in those other options like resolution, size, all this type of stuff. I'm not going to do that for this example. We're keeping it pretty basic. So throwing an image link over here and then text. And this kind of tripped me up for a while because I didn't realize in the documentation that it always has to be a public facing URL. So my mistake over there. I learned pretty fast after I spent too much time trying to figure that out. So make sure that your image has a link online for this to specifically work. And there's a ton of different ways you can take screenshots and just upload it online. You could go through that approach. I'm not going to cover too much. I think it was like in the past, like Gaz or something like that. I used like 10 plus years ago, but I know there's other stuff out there now like screen or light shot, as well as another one, tons of options. But essentially all we're doing is taking in these parameters, which is our prompt and image link. Next thing what we're going to do is same exact option over here. This time we're going to modify our JSON a little bit. So we want to put our prompt here at the very top. For some reason, and I don't know like if this is going to be fixed or not, or maybe I just had a bug in some sort. When I had the prompt underneath the image input, it just was not working for me. So I set this prompt over here first and then the image second. That started working for me. So if you're using images, probably put prompt here at the top of input and then your image next. So image input, same exact thing. I had a pretty fun bug when I was building this out. So initially I didn't have these brackets. I just thought, oh, I can add an image just like I had with this prompt. And I kept having bugs and I was like, why is this not working? Make sure you put these brackets because image input allows for multiple images. And I just didn't read that in the documentation. Like I expected multiple images to have this, but if there was one, I could just throw it in like this. Yeah, my mistake. So pretty beginner mistake, but it happens. So you're going to have errors in your workflows as you build them out. So again, you can see I just have this one specific URL and over here we have the brackets and I just literally put in a prompt, recreate this image with an English back. Then everything else is the same. Like nothing else changes over here. Again, this is dynamic for this task ID. It just grabs the task ID from here. And just to show you what this looks like here at the very end, this is turn off this weights and go through it. So take a look. Now the text is obviously off. So just to go here, like you can see this is much more faded text. Whereas this one over here, it's striking. What I find interesting also is it applied some of the damage to the card and it actually kind of looks realistic. Like just from the edge wear, baseball cards, like that's realistic edge wear. What else has changed? You can see like 162 has been regenerated. Sandy Koufax has been regenerated. So maybe I'd want to prompt and say, make this text look aged a little bit more, but it's not terrible. And you can see it's translated all this from Spanish to English. So pretty awesome. That's one image. And I want to show you the other one. So allows up to 8 images. So that's what I believe. Let me just double check. So you can see it says supports up to 8 images if you're using this. It says file URL after upload, not file content. Yeah, I spent too much time thinking it was the file content, and embarrassing to say, like always read your API before going to it. So regardless, what we're going to do for this example is upload 2 more baseball images. And what we have over here is Babe Ruth and we have a Cracker Jack. And it's always been a what if Babe Ruth had a Cracker Jack baseball card? Because he doesn't. These were produced in 1914, 1915. Ruth was a rookie in 1915. So it was plausible, but his first card's in 1916. So all we do this time is this form submission. I just put in 2 image links. So link 1, link 2. You can see I pasted in both links. A very basic prompt, replace the baseball card with Babe Ruth. Super, super basic. Over here, you can see all we did is I put input image 1 like this, double quotes, comma, input image link number 2, comma. So both those URLs, nothing else changes across this workflow. And to show you what this looks like at the very end, I'm just going to turn off this await node. We're going to go over here and take a look at this. That's pretty cool. So took that image, removed the other one. It added other data points. So a lot of these crackerjack baseball cards are going to be damaged. So it added some wear on the card, which is, I didn't even ask for it, which is amazing. And you can see it's like faded text over here. Unfortunately, like this text over here is not faded, and I can like open this image in a new tab. You can see like this is not faded. And again, maybe like a prompt, it could do a little bit better, but out of the box with a very, very basic prompt, this is pretty cool. So essentially that's it. The big thing of this video, kind of the takeaways, is there's 3 different ways that you could generate images right now, just from text, a single image, or multiple images. Really, the bulk of the effort is just setting up these nodes. What, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you can just generate images, throw it into your Google Drive. Remember, with the APIs, import in your curl, super important that you set up this header auth, because if you're going to use this multiple workflows, set it up once, because you can just go over here, header auth, Kai AI, done. Like instead of having to put your API key every single time, having it not secured. And multiple different ways. You can copy people's Facebook ads. You can create new Facebook ads for yourself. So you can create memes. You can create what if images. You can create features for YouTube thumbnails. Like anything that you can do with images, you can use this for. But I hope you guys found value in this video. If you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you watching. It's like 30 minutes long. I hope you guys watch other videos. We have like 60 n8n videos, and we have a school community I'd love to have you be a part of. Let me know other videos that you would like to see as well. This one is actually requested by one of our school members, Alfred. So he said, hey, can you make one off of the new Nano Banana Pro? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. So I'm always open to video suggestions and taking them over there. All right, see you guys.